family. This is Ray Collazo, and you're watching and listening to the Found in Translation Bomba Live Simulcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this segment of the show. We love to, especially during this pandemic, but we always love to get a take on, work with people that are really connected to our young folks and really get an understanding of not only what they're feeling, how they're managing during this pandemic and this very turbulent time, particularly for young people of color in this country, but what we can do as parents and educators, as advocates, to support them. And my two great friends and two big reasons that Found Translation exists are really at the forefront of that as education consultants, inspirational speakers, creatives, and just great leaders. So one of them has a new exciting project that we want to discuss, and we encourage all of you to purchase and support and pass it along to the young people in your lives, particularly who are going through their own transitions in their education and their young adult lives. So let's just bring them onto the show. One of my young boys, I like to say, he's one of my young boys. The president CEO of CoolSpeak. He'll always be cooler than me, though. Carlos Ojeda Jr. What's up, player?
What's up, Ray?
What's going on?
I don't feel too young, brother. I just turned 46 on Saturday, so.
So yes, you are my young boy by about 6 months.
Like 6 months, yeah. So I will take that right now. I'll take every day I can get.
You need to, brother. Carlos, why don't you do the honors? Because, we definitely, in this segment of the show, want to talk a little. I want to get your take on because you actually get to the street talking to young people every day, encouraging them, inspiring them, opening their eyes to the possibilities about what's going on with our young folks. But as part of not only your advocacy reach, but your business, you have a colleague, a business partner, and a very special member of our community that you wanted to bring to the table today for a new exciting project that he has.
Yes, this is he's a brother from another mother. I knew this individual before I met him. I saw him on Def Poetry Jam. I laughed at people. I was like, when the first time I met this individual, I was in my pajamas eating ice cream at midnight because I was watching the Poetry Jam, and he was unbelievably fascinating and mind-blowing. And then when I got the chance to meet him, it was it. He is an award-winning teacher and an absolute bomb street poet, just drops it. And we challenged him. We said, look, the work you're doing is great, but there is a significant need in our young people to help them write, to use writing, to put pencil to paper, to use that writing to leverage success, greater than just writing something amazing, but something that gets you something back. Writing scholarship essays, which is it's in this new day and age with social media and the shorthand of texting and Instagramming and TikToking, that's a lost art, but it's still something that is unbelievably necessary. But we challenged Joaquin to write a book about it to help our young people, especially our young people of color, how to write award-winning essays. And I'll tell you, Ray, he knocked it out of the ballpark. He wrote this book, and it is utterly amazing. It's been selling like hotcakes this month. We officially released it this month, even though it's been done, but the pandemic put everything on pause, and we finally decided to let it go. And it's been absolutely spectacular, the response. We've been doing a lot of free online programming and free live sessions, and Joaquin has been absolutely killing it. Dollars for Scholars will help young people write award-winning essays.
Well, Lin-Manuel wrote it best in his opus, In the Heights, I Wrote My Way Out. So let's bring Joaquin Zihuatanejo to the table. Joaquin, what's up, brother?
Hey, Ray, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, it's always an honor to have you. Last time people saw Joaquin grace our stage he was one of the keynotes, if you will, of my 7th anniversary show last year, which was definitely look in our archives. It was an amazing episode. People were so inspired by your work, particularly, that conversation we were having at that point related to the children, that were being, tortured and going through a lot. And unfortunately, too many of them are still going through that on our southern border due to some lousy politics and children being put in a terrible spot. But fast forward, Joaquin, you've always been in the game supporting our young people as Carlos said, an award-winning, globally recognized spoken word poet. So we definitely want to get to your new project, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk a little hoops at the end of the show. Before we get to that, Carlos, I wanted to start this conversation with you because, our children are on month 14, 15 of this pandemic. Obviously, the end, we're closer to the end than the beginning, which is fortunate. But our children have had this additional layer of challenges over this year plus, and just wanted to get your take, Carlos, as the president CEO of CoolSpeak, an incredible motivational speaker and someone who has passion for engaging young people. You're talking to them every day, brother. What are they going through? What do we need to know about what's the experience of being a young person in this country right now, and how we can be supportive of them at this time?
Challenging is not the word. We all know we've worked in education in some way, shape, or form, but we know that the education gap, the progress that we've made every year before this pandemic was always incremental, right? We bridge it a little bit more. We bridge it a little bit more. This pandemic, the backslide, the gap widened. It was monumental, especially for our young people in the inner cities. They're struggling. Some schools are reporting that barely 50% of their students are online. So our students are struggling. Even the ones that are there, they're struggling. Some of them have to go get jobs. They got to help support the families because people lost jobs. Some of them don't have the technology. Schools have done a phenomenal job of trying to outfit, young people with the equipment, but some of them don't. And then even if they have the equipment, they don't have internet or access to that. So how do you resolve that? There's so many issues with our young people. And that's before we even get to the fact that some of the classes are really boring, right? And the challenges that our educators have in transitioning and how you make programming engaging. That, I'll be honest, that is a large part of what we have been doing. We're doing the work with the kids, but a lot of the work has been with educators, teaching them how to be engaging virtually, how not to look at this as a negative and go. But our students have struggled. And there have been some beautiful lights, beautiful moments of young people coming together, doing amazing things. But by and large, it has been probably the most monumental setback for our education gap, for our people, our young students of color, that they have faced. As far as I've been alive, it is the most monumental setback for them. And it has been a challenge.
Joaquin, I want to ask you a similar question, but from the perspective of you being a creative. So you certainly have seen how children have been challenged during this time, similarly to Carlos. How has their art been reflected in that challenge? And how have you seen the art and the expression of our young people during this period?
Oh, I can tell you right now, without question, that the things that they're creating are darker thematically. Our young people are going through something, and Carlos is absolutely right. Like, this is a challenge like one this country has never seen before when it comes to educating middle school students and high school students and keeping that fire lit in them. I mean, my goodness, middle school is where we get them. That's where we catch them. If we catch them in middle school and light that fire in them, high school becomes that much easier. But like Carlos said, they are facing challenges like never before, which, you mentioned earlier, what are some of the solutions? I got to tell you, Ray, I have been humbled and honored to be a very small part of the large machine that is CoolSpeak. Because this guy right next to me, Carlos Ojeda Jr. and his partner, Ernesto Mejia, they've been creating innovative ways to use virtual teaching to reach multiple classrooms, multiple students, multiple campuses. And the teachers that we're meeting with virtually, the things that we're able to do with them, we're getting responses like, we didn't know it could be like this. We didn't know we could make the students laugh. We didn't know we could light a fire in the students. Thank you for helping us. So I just want to say thank you to Chu, my main man, for letting me be a part of what I think is a really beautiful solution in CoolSpeak.
Well, you know what, Joaquin, you just set me up for my follow-up. So, Carlos, give us an example or two of how you're doing that. Because look, we got teachers watching this right now, and we got parents thinking about, how am I going to keep my kid engaged this summer? And they may have to figure out their own virtual summer school situation. So, Carlos, give people how is that? What Joaquin was talking about, how is that happening at CoolSpeak? Give us an example or two.
The first thing you got to do is whatever the platform is that you've got to use because the school either chose it or whatnot, you got to learn how to do it. You got to learn it inside and out. You got to embrace it. You can't complain about it. You got to do it. And then you just got to be creative. You just have to really think. the lesson plans that you were using prior to this don't work. Don't work. I'll give you a great example. In my son's school, I hope I don't get spots blown up. His chemistry teacher is a very wonderful man. He's an awesome guy. But he just kind of sits there with a very monotone voice and goes over the chemistry, very mellow. And I have pictures of my son struggling to get through. And he has a good grade in the class. But, man, it is painful. Meanwhile, I know of another chemistry teacher who's doing literally mixing chemicals in front of the camera, blowing stuff up and keeping the kids enthralled, right? Because there's a way about how you're going about doing it. Another thing that's very important, not only for the overall learning of the students, but also for their mental health, is student voice. Finding ways in your class, in your lesson plans, in your program, to provide moments for students to voice, to either vent, to talk, to heal, to laugh. Think about it, man. We were stuck for such a long period of time, and some of these kids, they were stuck in really bad situations. You know, abusive households, very difficult, disconnected from people that they love, stuck in really bad situations. We have found that student voice is key. And so we've done that by doing poetry slams, by writing sessions, by doing career panels where we bring people from all over the country. In fact, Ray, you were on one of our career panels, and the kids absolutely loved it. And they've been raving about it and saying that was the best thing they've had because they had an opportunity to ask questions and participate. You have to create in innovative ways for them to be able to speak, create safe spaces, but also create brave spaces, because it's not just a pandemic. You've got social justice issues. You think that this collective trauma is just for the adults. The kids are feeling it. My dinner table is constantly talking about what's going on in the streets, the police abuse, all the things that are happening, the politics, the election.
They see it. They see all of it.
Yeah. My daughter is 7 years old. And at dinner, she said, I'm happy that the police officer is going to jail for what he did to that man. She's 7 years old, man. Too innocent, but it's there. It's everywhere.
My 9-year-old asked me the other day when the Chauvin verdict came down, he goes, are all white people racist? And I'm sitting here like, how do we even get into that answer? You know what I mean? That's loaded. Joaquin and Carlos, I want to play a clip for you to play on that point. And I want y'all to comment on this clip. This brother's name is Luis Suave Gonzalez. For you podcast files out there, this man is the voice of the hottest podcast on the internet, the Suave podcast, which chronicles his journey as a 17-year-old that was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison as a juvenile. And through his journey, he was actually able to get out in his 50s and is now one of the nation's foremost advocates on juvenile justice reform. He had a very interesting relationship as a journalist with journalist Maria Hinojosa as a source and I want y'all to comment on.
I want people to know that we are more than our worst mistake. And if you don't have no compassion, then you don't have a right to be in the business of talking to people, period. And I found in Maria's friendship what I didn't find in the school system, what I didn't find in my household or in my community, which was compassion and empathy.
Joaquin, talk to me, brother.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, like, real talk, right? Like, the power of writing with young people, the power of writing for anybody. I wrote something this week, just, days ago, on the life and death of Adam Toledo. And in that essay, I wrote about a moment in my life when I was at the park with my boys and something jumped off and we all, spread because one of my homies shot a gun in the air and then handed Manny the gun and we took off running. And then Manny handed me the gun and I'm running down an alley with a loaded gun in my hand with a white police officer right behind me. Right. And had that police officer killed me, like my partner would have fell in love with someone else. My daughters wouldn't look a little like me. I wouldn't have written the things that I've written. I wouldn't have touched the students, taught the students that I'd been able to taught. I wouldn't have met this amazing man, Carlos Ojeda Jr. I wouldn't have met Ray. I wouldn't have the life that I lived. And like that thing, that piece of compassion that I wrote, it's gone out into the world. It's been shared like 8,000 times. Like this is the power that he's talking about, empathy, the power of connection, the power of humanity. And I think if we can get our young people to realize that through their voice, through their words, they can share that humanity and they can use it to grow and they can use it to learn and they can use it to create. Well, this is my mission, Ray. This is why I'm here.
Yeah. And he said the word, Ray, empathy. That's the one thing that we feel strongly is missing in our police, in our politics, and definitively in our school. And people have a hard time understanding what that is. And I'm like, it is so simple. Like, I like cookies with milk, right? Look, chocolate chip cookies and milk are everything to me. If I'm having a bad day, all right, some people come home and they drink beer and wine. I need warm chocolate chip cookies and milk. My son makes them when he's in trouble. So he's emotionally intelligent enough to make it for me. Now, I love him, and I'm a dunker. Now, my son, he likes to eat cookies with water, and that is disgusting. And he likes to dip it, right? He eats it.
That's nasty.
And then he drinks, right? It's disgusting. I don't understand it. And that's what people say. People use not understanding, right, in order to justify and rationalize hate and avoid empathy. But here's the thing. I think that's disgusting, but I don't need to understand in order to love him. I don't need to understand in order to respect his wishes. And if I really sit here and think, if he feels the same way about cookies with water as I do with cookies with milk, then we're cool. So every time I get my cookies with milk, bro, I make sure I get a nice cold glass of water and cookies for him. And that's what empathy is. And that's definitively missing in a lot of the things that we're doing in education, and teachers not understanding why their students are doing it, or people watching the news and not understanding why it's wrong to have little brown boys and girls in jail, why it's wrong for African American men to be gunned down, why it's wrong for this Asian hate that's going on, why it's wrong to treat women the way that women are being treated. It's that empathy. Because if it's not you, then, I don't feel it. And what my man said was on the money, and what Joaquin said is on point. We've got to learn how to be empathetic together. We need to be allies, right? I'm not black, but you know what? What happened to George Floyd wasn't right. So I'm going to be an ally to my black brothers and sisters.
Right.
What happened to those Asian women in Atlanta? I'm not Asian, but that's not right. Mm-hmm. And I got to be an ally for them. What happens with the hashtag Me Too? I'm not a woman, but I got to be an ally for my lady. And by talking to my young men, my sons, and telling them, this is how you treat, respect, and all of these things. What happens, we have to build alliances all the way around with our white brothers and sisters, our Asian brothers and sisters, all of them together, so that we can stomp out some of these things that are breaking and ripping at the very fabric of our country and our society.
Absolutely.
So Joaquin, with your new book, Dollars for Scholars, you stretch out of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah,
globally recognized poet, spoken word artist. I mean, to say that is even kind of understating it. I mean, you're a performer, and so talented in that area, and you choose to write a book that's nonfiction and self-help oriented. So tell us about the journey of Dollars for Scholars.
I can tell you right now that a lot of times people will come, like I started a nonprofit in Dallas called Dallas Youth Poets. But before I started it, I had a lot of adults coming up to me who were very capable, saying to me, you should do this nonprofit for youth poets in Dallas. And I would always think to myself, well, you're a very capable adult too. Why don't you do it? You're challenging me. But then a student came up to me and challenged me. Why don't you make a youth poetry program in Dallas? And when a student asks me, I got to do it. I got to give. Look, Carlos Ojeda Jr., Chew, he works with a lot of great people. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It was a program in Philly. A program in Philly reached out to Chew and said, hey, we loved having Joaquin here. He was talking with our students about scholarships. But when he left, I wish there was a resource they could have held in their hands. When he left, a book, so they have a piece of him there when he's not there. And when I heard that from these amazing students in Philly, who remind me a lot of the students I came up with, that I would run with. Not hard, just challenged, just underserved, beautiful, powerful, young students who just need a chance. Just give them a chance,
right.
Raise the bar for them. When they challenge me, I say, I got to do it. Chu, I got to do it. And Chu gave me a deadline. He gave me a time frame. He said what he thought would be really good for this book. I said what I thought would be good for it, and we had some great people involved. We had a great editor involved. We had a great proofreader involved. And the entire process was very challenging. I mean, this is me stepping outside of my comfort zone because I'm used to like flowers rhymes with hours, and here we are with like trying to make sure that the next section feeds beautifully into the next section in terms of self-help and becoming a stronger writer and becoming a stronger student. But I had a great team behind me. And, my editor, my proofreader, and of course, Chu, my main man, cheering me on, even when I was doubting myself, saying, you got this. You're going to make that deadline. You're going to get this done. It's going to be incredible. He never lost faith, and that helped me not lose faith as well.
Carlos, what did you want? I'm going to ask Joaquin what he wants the students to get out of it, which is kind of more obvious. What did you want Joaquin to get out of the writing experience as an artist, for himself as a person? What did you want him to get out of this process to challenge himself to write Dollars for Scholars?
Well, I'm a creative too, and me and Joaquin bug out about creatives and how we do. We can get into ruts doing what we do day in, day out, as great as we are what we do. It's always great when we get challenged to just stretch just a little bit more. Even this pandemic, Ray, I am blessed to have some of the best youth speakers in the country working for us. Amazing. Ernesto, Lillian, Joaquin, Natty, Tim, Zach, you name it. We got a phenomenal team. My man. This pandemic forced us all way outside our comfort zones, right? Way outside of our comfort zone. And when we took a step out, we found greatness, right? We are, now I can say we have the best youth motivational speakers and facilitators, face-to-face or virtual. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted for Joaquin is for him to just find a new way to engage students, a new way to take his creativity and create something amazing. Because I know this man. I know that he's always a teacher, even though he's not technically a teacher. He's still licensed and he can still give homework. And he wants to teach these kids, and I know how it feels when they're writing these things and they're hitting them back up, bro. You got to hear some of the stories. The kids saying, "Thank you, this helped me. I got my scholarship. This changed my life." And it bringing hope in another way. His poems always did that, but now it's more. It's just writing and helping them write amazing things. You can give them the fish, or you can teach them how to fish, and he is. Literally, our hope is to change a whole generation of young people that are writing amazing essays, getting that opportunity to go to school and spreading that out. And I wanted that for him, right? Because it was a pain in the butt. I ain't going front. How many times I had to call him and be like, "Where we at, bro? We got to keep going." But the end result, right, is an amazing book. And we're hearing so much from educators, teachers, people in programs like Upper Bound and Gear Up, migrant programs going, "Wow, thank you. This is working." We're getting a lot of feedback from Kids King that it's written in a manner that they can understand it, that they can utilize it, right? Because sometimes books can be overwhelming. They can be intimidating. This isn't it. This is very warm and embraces you. My kids are using it. It's a really phenomenal book, but I wanted to challenge them, because in that challenge, you find greatness, right? Mm-hmm. You take a step outside your comfort zone, and what happens? Your comfort zone just got bigger, and the world just got better.
Right. That's right.
And that's what we wanted for Joaquin, because we knew he had it in him. We had seen him do these workshops already. This is actually born out of just being on the ground working with the students, face to face. And he was like, let's take it a step further. And when you see the joy in his eyes when he just got done working with these amazing scholars, these amazing kids, you just want to find a way to extend that. And he got it done, man. He really did.
Joaquin, tell people about Dollars for Scholars, what students can benefit from it, and what you want people to get out of this book.
When I originally wrote the book, I got to be perfectly honest with you. Like the students I had in mind, that I had in my heart, it was those faces in Philly. You know, it was those faces in Philly talking to me. You know, as I was writing, I could still hear their voices, and I could, you know, and they were challenging me, and they were saying, you know, in my mind, I could hear them saying they need this. They need something to light a fire in them. They need something to help them transition from the very difficult thing that is, you know, the experience of being a high school senior to the even more challenging thing that is the position of being, you know, a first-year college student, whether that's a junior college, whether that's a community college, whether that's a technical school, vocational school, university. I wanted this book to be for every student, to help them in any way they could earn a scholarship. And we know when Chu told me, when we got done with the process, when Chu said to me, hey, remember you spent, you know, before the pandemic hit, you spent 14 days with, you know, multiple schools in Philly, and you did multiple classrooms each day. And over the course of that 14 days, it was over 1,000 kids you got to work with. Well, we found out that we're going to be able to get a book in every one of those scholars' hands. Man, you know, like,
life-changing.
I shouldn't be saying I cried, but I cried, man, because like those kids are my heart. Like I love every student that we work with CoolSpeak, but like if I'm working with a student from Chicago or Philly or New York, you know, I'm from a big city. I'm a city kid. And like when I work with those students, that's like my heart, you know? So basically, I just want the book Dollars for Scholars to inspire them. I want it to challenge them, and I want it to help them draft, craft, and revise an essay that could change their lives, that could save their lives by getting them into college at little or no cost to their mother, father, abuelo, whoever that might be.
And, you know, it's amazing how something as seemingly simple as helping someone write a college essay can change their lives. I remember Chris Rock talking about, remember there was years where Chris Rock was on Saturday Night Live and like you barely noticed he was there. And then obviously he ended up being by far the biggest star and most talented comedian in the group, in the troupe. And I remember seeing an interview with him years later saying, well, you know, do you think, you know, he's like, well, to be honest with you, I was the funniest guy, but I never was taught how to write a sketch. So the reason I was a step behind is I never was taught that skill. Not that I wasn't the funniest. I just made up jokes or wrote little one-liners. So just giving people those simple tools is so important. We're talking to Joaquin Zihuatanejo in his new book, Dollars for Scholars, and his colleague, president, CEO, and publisher, Carlos Ojeda Jr. Purchase Dollars for Scholars everywhere you can buy a book and support not only a Latino author, but Latino publishing house, which is really exciting. I want y'all to watch this clip, which refers to Bomba Live 2. When we come back, get your reactions, and we'll wrap up this amazing conversation. Carlos, this is going to hit your heart, dog. All right.
We are going to have amazing contributors to the community. We're going to have such amazing talent. And I'm putting it out here now live. I'm calling all of you, all my friends. We're going to do this. So look into my eyes and just say yes. So all of you are watching it. We're going to have some amazing talent. I think she turned down the gauntlet
to a couple other listeners.
I did. I can't. I'm like, listen.
Right there. I like that.
I'm talking to you. Yes, my friends. You all know who you are, my freestyle friends, all my salsa friends. We're going to do this. This is going to be a great collaboration. And I'm excited. I'm excited to actually be able to meet these community leaders and these impactful people that because so here's the truth, okay? This is the opposite end of the spectrum for me. I hang out with freestyle artists and other artists and entertainers. That's my life. What really brings me passion on the other side of me is meeting all these, you know, amazing community leaders and people who make an impact. And these superheroes is what I call them. That's who I fangirl on.
I'll tell you, Carlos, it is a bit surreal to collaborate with one of the legends, Betty D of Sweet Sensation. Betty D not only is a part of the fam now, but it's going to be the primetime host for Bomba Live 2, Saturday, June 12th. And as you saw, is calling out her friends. Let me give you a couple names, Carlos and Joaquin. Tell you this rings a bell in your life. How about Brenda K. Starr, dog? Brenda K. Starr going to be up in there, dog. Come on now.
Come on.
Daphne Vega from Rent, In the Heights. And by the way, she was the lead singer of Pajama Party back in the days. People sleep on that. Pajama Party, dog. How about one of the A-list actresses of Hollywood, Lisa McDowell, dog, gonna be up in there. K7, the only cat that I know that's cooler than you, Carlos. K7 is gonna be up in there. We're gonna have a little something, and of course, Carlos Heather's agreed to produce our youth content. We're really excited about that. More announcements to come. And of course, was our keynote speaker last year. And we still get rave reviews for their very touching keynote address. So besides all the fun stuff, and I know you're excited about Bomba Live, you know, my man Joaquin is a man of many talents. And I just wanted to give him a little love for one of his little side projects, which my wife and my whole family are big fans of. Joaquin, let's show a little something, and then you can talk to me, the people, about this, okay? Let's show people what we're talking about here.
That's one of my new favorite shows on YouTube. I watch it all the time, and he's going to give you a run for your money on YouTube, bro.
He's killing it. He's killing it. Joaquin,
you put me on blast, right?
I didn't take it out of your phone. You know, you post this publicly.
Yeah. If you put it out on YouTube, what happens in YouTube is everywhere, bro.
really quick, Joaquin. I find it fascinating. You're really good at it. You really know your stuff. There was this whole thing you did about the furniture pieces from the 50s, the John Keels. I'm like, how does this Mexican know about stuff like that?
Ray,
talk to me, brother.
I got skills with a Z. So like I got multiple skills, and one of those skills is picking. Look, I like to pick it. I like to make it beautiful. I like to sell it. And you know what? I like to make a little bit of money. So it's all good. I'm putting frijoles on the table for my family.
That's the Mexican hustle, dog. That's the Latino hustle. You know what I mean? Like, we've been recycling since day one. We reuse butter, margarine, containers, everything.
Yes.
I encourage people to watch it. Check out Joaquin Zihuatanejo's YouTube.
Yeah, man. Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, no doubt.
Follow.
It's good stuff.
Mexican
it really is intriguing. We need to just do a
pictures.
show, brother. You need to come back and we just need to do that. Get all my hustlers, all my people with their side gigs,
yep,
and just do a pick off. You know what I mean?
There it is.
Do an auction. Actually, we could do an auction for charity, probably with all your items there.
Just saying,
it's not a bad idea. As we wrap up this episode, brothers, just one more word on Dollars for Scholars. Joaquin, why don't we start with you, brother? Just anything else you want to share about the book? Why, and just anything else you want to share with our young people out there and the adults in their lives that are supporting these young people, trying to navigate. I mean, we got people that are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their kids this summer. Are they going to the next? I have my oldest son is going to go to 7th grade. He's never been in a physical building. He's going to have gone through a whole grade with never even being into school.
Yeah.
So there, a lot of people are thinking ahead. So talk to us to our children and our families out there. Any final words? And again, any words you want to share about Dollars for Scholars?
For me, more than anything, Ray, I hope it's Dollars for Scholars ends up being a light, a light in a dark tunnel, a light in a dark time. I want people to be able to whether it's a student in their room by themselves or whether it's a classroom of students using it as a resource in the classroom once we go back to classroom settings, or even if it's a teacher in their hands using it to try to develop a lesson that can help their students be stronger essay writers. I just want it to be a light and an inspiration and a hope for all. I believe in hope, and I think it's right around the corner. I can see the light, and hopefully this book will help young people get even closer to the light.
Yeah.
Carlos, what I'm going to do, brother, is I'm going to take me and Joaquin off camera for a second. I want to give you a moment. I want to give you the floor because I know you care about everybody, brother. You just talked about it. Obviously, we're an allyship. We just did an entire episode with some of our Asian American brothers and sisters. We're dedicating a lot of content on the platform to the autistic community and their loved ones and everyone on the spectrum, and Black Lives Matters at our heart, and that's something we're always going to be a part of. But specifically, Carlos, and we need to do more of this on my platform, is I want you to talk to the young men out there that don't see a lot of role models, that don't see a lot of hope with their steez, that they want to carve out a path. They're not a baller. They're not a rapper. They know that they have another path, but that path is not as obvious to them. So, and now this is even a time where their mental health, and they even have less opportunity to share. And that's one of the things I even deal with. Is I don't see people, where we're not having those platforms a lot of times because of the isolation to just try to build fellowship. So I'm going to give you the floor, brothers. Talk to them young brothers out there, and even the ones that aren't so young, that are going through it and maybe don't feel that they have an outlet to share. Give them some hope. Give them some information. Give them your perspective on the hope that Joaquin sees, and I know I see as well.
This year has been a challenge for men of color on almost every front. We've been we're endangered. We are threatened. We can't even walk around. I will tell you that my little brown boy, who's not so little anymore, every time he was walking home and it's dark, I get scared. but I can't let that fear override my hope. I can't let that fear take away the hopes and dreams of my family, and my ancestors. I must prevail. I must overcome. I've got to keep looking for that higher ground. And I know that there are young men out there that might feel alone. Look, if you don't have a father in your life, all right, family is a funny thing. Family is you get the family that you were given, and then you get the family that you find, that you cultivate, that you embrace, that you make. Right. And I always tell young men that don't have fathers in their lives, if you don't have a father in your life, then be the father you would want in your life. Be that man, be that trailblazer. Look for mentors, look for people. You know, I know for a fact that every one of the men in my company, we mentor and we reach out to other young men, and never give up hope. Never give up hope. You are the hopes and dreams. Los sueños y esperanzas de nuestra comunidad. You are it. All right. And there isn't anything out there that can take away what it is to be a Latino man, a African-American man. There's nothing that takes away from being a man of color. You are strong. You are passionate. You are everything. So you cannot give up hope. All right. In those moments when you want to get down on your knees and you want to quit, those are the moments that we overestimate the obstacles and you underestimate your strength and your resolve. You are made for this. You are made of stronger material than any of the things that we have gone through. So you must stay the course. Stay the course and be the beacon for our communities. Rise up and lead us in the right direction.
Always so well said, and I wanted to give Carlos that opportunity. You know,
I would be remiss if I don't throw this out there because Joaquin won't do it, but I will. We are doing a special Cinco de Mayo exclusive webinar. All right, for it's going to be a webinar featuring Joaquin, talking about everything about scholarship writing. We'll help you bring your paper, bring your drafts. Your ticket to that is simple. Buy a copy of the book. Buy a copy of the book. You get a link exclusive. We've got limited seating. Seats are already filling up. We've had, like I said, we sold thousands of books this month. People have been really responsive. So we've got a lot of seats taken, but we still have some seats. All you got to do is buy the book, and you get an automatic invitation to register for the Cinco de Mayo Dollars for Scholars live session featuring Joaquin Zihuatanejo, award-winning teacher, spoken world champ, right? You are the world champ, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I close my eyes and I remember,
you got a chip more recently in the Cowboys, that's for sure.
I see the World Cup.
He got a chip.
I see the World Cup right over his shoulder, right there.
That is nice.
All right, it's right there.
Him and Nowitzki be hanging out in the DM.
It just happens to be there, right? It just happens to be there. It was just, happenstance.
Yeah, he's true, brother. He's true, man. It's always great to hang out with you, brothers. And I tease Joaquin about the sports stuff of Philly and Dallas. I mean, what are you gonna do? You gotta tease. But we got a lot of love for you, brother. And whatever we can do to support you in your endeavors, definitely want to have you guys back. And Carlos, we do need to figure out a way a more formal collaboration. I mean, obviously, we're gonna do this piece in June 12th, Bomba Live 2. Maybe that's the start of something we can have more of a formal collaboration about. Not only supporting our young people, but some these young brothers out there that, who better than role models like you all and Joaquin. You've seen that impact back in our home community here on the East Coast. So Joaquin Zihuatanejo, author of world-class spoken word poet, artist, and the author of Dollars for Scholars. Buy and support that book anywhere you can buy a book, and support CoolSpeak, not only as a company, but as a publishing house. And, of course, the president CEO, my brother for life, Carlos Ojeda Jr., Chew, if you know him from the streets. Thank you all so much for enjoying this episode of Good Morning, fam. This is Ray Collazo, and it's not a show. It's not a episode. I don't know what it is, but it's about midnight, literally. I should be getting ready for a great Monday morning at work or something. But I just had to get with y'all for a minute. The picture you just saw was of two young women that we lost way too soon and that we all failed. Keishla Rodriguez Ortiz and Andrea Cristina Ruiz Costas died at the hands of men who were loved ones this past several days in Puerto Rico. The only difference really there's no difference in the horrific nature of their deaths. They're both different forms of a Greek tragedy. One was failed by the state, if you will, by the lack of follow-up and care by the judicial system and the criminal justice system in Puerto Rico. And the other by a celebrity, and saying his name and discussing him much doesn't really make much sense. This is really about the memory and the lives of Keishla and Andrea. But even more tragically than the fact that all of these people had so much, to live for, including Keishla with a young baby on the way. But that in the case of Keishla, the wife of her lover and of her, apparently, by all accounts, her murderer, it seems, allegedly, I'll say, just to be safe, was an accomplice in this. So for whatever reason, in that case, 4 lives were ruined directly. This is not a new phenomenon in Puerto Rico. This has been a dynamic that the feminist activists and the women leaders of the island have been raising as a concern for quite some time. I think officially there's even a state of emergency on the island related to this issue. Let me show you the picture of these 2 women one more time. When I see this picture, I don't know these women. And hopefully as time goes on, we'll get to know more of who they were. But I like a picture says 1,000 words. When you see those pictures, what I see is almost an innocence, a sincerity and authenticity. It's clear they're just 2 women just trying to live their lives. And they're not trying to do harm to nobody. There's no. You just see innocent. That's the word that comes to mind. And certainly, we all failed those 2 women. Our society, whether as men, as people in Puerto Rico, our community, our larger community, on some level, the American judicial justice system, because last time I did change part of the United States. So, there's a lot of blame to go around. But the reality is that, we all have to make a commitment today, when you're probably seeing this Monday morning or Monday, to address it. It's not just a problem that women have to address. It's not just a problem people in Puerto Rico have to address. It's not just a problem of our education system or of parenting or of our judicial system or of, our religious communities. It's all of our responsibilities to do something about this. And I particularly call on the men of our community. Donde lo que sea, si viven en Puerto Rico, parte de la diáspora que se la dieron a la isla en los últimos años, un neoyorquino como yo. We all have to take our part in making it very clear that there's nothing acceptable about this sort of behavior in our community as men. And I think that, I wonder sometimes why I do all this podcasting stuff at odd hours and, for what, right? And I think that the more I think about it, as I prayed on it today, I think I realized that Bomba Life started last year on some level for those 2 women, because we are about to have an event in June that is yes, a celebration of the Puerto Rican community and our talents and our character. So this is going to be more, we have to defend our character and let people know what we're really about. This certainly, harming and murdering these young women is certainly not what being Puerto Rican is about in cualquier idioma. And so I just want to ask my fam 2 things. One is that all of you on a personal level commit yourselves to do something to contribute to addressing this issue in Puerto Rico and the United States. One of my frequent contributors and indeed the co-executive producer of Bomba Live, Christina Vega, has developed her own local organization, in her case in Philadelphia, particularly to address, Latinos, primarily Puerto Rican women. They're dealing with the same thing here with their, mostly with men that are loved ones in their life, many of which are Puerto Rican as well. And so we're dealing with this issue all over our community, no matter where we are. And so we all I'm calling on all y'all to do something. Donate to an organization like Christina's. Contribute to one of the organizations doing good work in Puerto Rico. We're going to be announcing very soon the organization we're going to be dedicating our charitable effort during Bomba Live 2, June 12th, for one of the organizations in Puerto Rico that's on the front lines of doing this work and advocating for the rights and the lives, literally the lives of our women. How sad that he's had to say that. These are our mothers. These are our loved ones. These are our wives. These are our sisters. This is our fam. Like, there's nothing more fundamental than that. So Bomba Live 2 is going to be a celebration. Yes. We're going to have a lot of fun. And later in the week, we'll get more into the incredible lineup we're working for y'all and all the different additional things. I mean, we take it at otro nivel, familia. Te va a ser brutal on so many levels. But the reality is really what it's going to be about. It's going to be about a call from a nation to say this has to end now. And we're going to bring resources from every sector of our community to make that message very strong on June 12th for 12 plus hours that, yes, it's about celebrating the culture, but this part of our culture has to be exterminated from our world. And obviously, on some level, one of the things we also have to address is that this violence is coming from a lot of pain from men and women in our community. And so as men in our community, we have to make a very strong statement and say, brothers, we know there's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of feeling inadequate because of the economic forces, because of your personal circumstances, because of the time you deal with a young boy, it's hard to get a job and feel like you're doing for your fam. We know there's a lot. But we have to open up and let our homies know and create more systems so we can support them, because the answer is not doing this nonsense and ruining all these lives, including theirs. So the last thing is, I'm going to ask you one last thing, people. And this is particularly for my friends that were watching this, like people that know me for real. I know everybody watching this, no one knows me, but I'm talking about my peoples, and y'all know who you are. I want to say I don't ask for much, but I guess I do sometimes. I'm always asking you to watch the show. I know most of the times you don't. You're busy. Handmaid's Tale, it's hard to compete. I understand. Your Knicks are hot. There's a lot. Everyone's got lives, and, my little thing is nice, but most times you don't get to see it. Maybe you like it, but hey, Ray does his thing. Ralph does his thing. It's cool. Whatever. But I need y'all on this one. I need you. And I'm going to be asking you every day. This ain't going to be the last time. June 12th, I need y'all to support this. There's going to be an opportunity for, through tickets, a VIP experience we're going to announce for small dollar donations. All that is going to go to these organizations helping women that are crucially in need of these services right now on the island and here. And I'm going to need y'all help. I'm going to need y'all promoting it. There's all kind of volunteer stuff to put this together. It's going to be, we're in a television studio this time, people. There's miracles we're pulling off here. So I'm going to need y'all help. Now, I'm going to keep asking. So, find it in your heart for a little bit of time or a little bit of money to contribute to this cause, because the work Christina Vega is doing, Love Shouldn't Hurt, the work that, again, we're going to be announcing the official organization in Puerto Rico that they're doing way before these incidents happened to Keisla and Andrea. There's been too many Keisla and Andreas in Puerto Rico and throughout our community. Y'all, we all need to step up for these women right now. And this is one vehicle, one humble vehicle, one day, but could really make a very powerful statement, because we're going to have not only entertainers and a lot of people that we all admire because of their talents, but people that are very substantive, that we're really going to have a true meeting here of our community. So I need y'all help. And I'm going to keep asking. So don't feel like once you turn this off, it's over. I'm going to make you feel bad if you don't help on this one. I don't ask for much. You watch, you don't watch, I know you're busy. But on this one, I need y'all. I need all of y'all. And our community needs all y'all. And you know what, more so, la memoria de estas mujeres merecen mucho más. They deserve our best, and they deserve June 12th to be a true celebration of their lives, their sacrifice, and in the same way that George Floyd's life, unfortunately, as his dear daughter said to Joe Biden, is going to change the world, we cannot have Keisla and Andrea's lives be lost in vain. I'm going to end this with a video I just literally found on Instagram like 20 minutes ago before I started airing. I'm going to mess up her name. I believe her name is Itxa. Itxa. Only a Puerto Rican could figure out a 4-letter name that's very hard, that's impossible to pronounce. I kid. But my point is, if I mess up Itxa's name, I apologize. Itxa. Check her out on Instagram. I'm going to leave it with her because her spirit, her passion, I mean, it looks like she literally just ran into a music studio a few hours ago and did this, de corazón. And what she's singing about is saying women have to speak up for the women that are here have to speak up for the women that we've lost. So I'm going to leave it, finish this up with Itxa. Continue to follow what we're doing here, fam, on Bomba Live. Like I said, I don't ask y'all for much, but I need y'all on this. And we need to do this together. Let's hear from Itxa and have a great week.
Pero su hija se han llevado, su madre sigue llorando, las horas siguen pasando y ya su vida arrebataron. ¿Cómo se puede ser tan indiferente que no entienden que no matan ya frente a la gente? Yo exijo justicia, no es que soy demente, siempre estaré presente y lucharé contra toda corriente. Ser mujer no debe ser una condena, ya estoy harta de ocultar todas mis penas, que no es la falda ni el pantalón, la culpa es de un cabrón y el Estado no busca solución. Ni una más ni una menos. Si mañana soy yo, mami, papi, lo quiero. Luchen por mí, por todas las que se fueron. Alto a la violencia, exijo estado de emergencia. Si tenía falda, dicen ser mi culpa. Si caminaba por la calle, no soy tan astuta. Porque no pueden ver que soy una mujer que viva y libre en este mundo quiere ser. Hablo por las ausentes, por las que están presentes. Tocan a una y respondemos, aquí somos valientes. Recuerda tu poder, vamos a